Hey guys, Dr. Dobson. We're going to be going over a fractured 2-4 that we built up. This is a tooth that broke off at the gum line, so we did a gingivectomy, core buildup, and then prepped, manufactured a new crown. Here's some x-rays, no pulpal involvement, and we'll get into the footage here. So we'll freeze first, but here you can see the tooth. It fractured off at the buccal gum line. And, a lot of people might say you can't do a filling on it, certainly, because it won't retain. And you can't do a crown because there isn't enough ferrule, but actually, you can do a gingivectomy and expose enough ferrule to work with to restore it very predictably. So that's what we'll do. We're going to freeze with 1 in 200 articaine just into the straight buccal of the root, and then we'll do that on the palatal as well. And then we're going to go straight to doing a very large gingivectomy. There's lots of tooth structure on the palatal. And basically, we're just going to take the electrocautery and just whack away like 3 millimeters of gum tissue to get enough root to work with. So we'll do that, and you can take this thing pretty much all the way to the bone if you need to, which is probably what we did for this case. Usually the patient's going to be very tender for a week or so, although it varies depending on the patient. Some say that it's terrible, and some say that it's not really that bad at all. And then we are going to do a buildup. So we're actually going to prep a little notch into the lingual aspect of the tooth to help to retain the buildup material. I like to have mechanical retention in my preps, even with a chemically bonded restorative material. So we'll just use a Toffelmeyer to matrix the tooth for our buildup, and we're going to use Equia Forte. So we'll etch for 5 seconds, rinse and dry, and then we'll fill up the tooth with our material. We'll put it right in the retentive notch first, and then fill up the rest and pack it down with a moist cotton pellet, and then leave it for 5 minutes. So there's the buildup in place. And then we'll get to prepping the tooth. And we're going to prep as gingivally as we possibly can so that we get as much ferrule as we can. And we're also going to try not to prep too much axially to retain that pericervical dentin. So that the tooth has more, I guess you'd call it, resistance form. And we're just going to prep it dry so that we can very clearly see our margin, and we want to take it just as deep as we possibly can while still being able to make out the margin with our scanner. So I'll just leave it on this speed as it preps. And you can even use a thinner prepping burr if you wanted to, which I'd probably do nowadays. And if you nick the adjacent tooth, then just smooth it out. And then the buildup material. The buildup material doesn't really add much retentive value to the crown, so we can take it down quite a ways, and we'll probably take it down some more. But we have a big lingual cusp of tooth structure that's going to be our saving grace for this case. And we're just going to continue prepping. And we'll start prepping the lingual. And it looks like we actually didn't do any gingivectomy on the lingual aspect of the tooth here. So we're just going to leave it a little bit super gingival, but only taking our margin in like 0.5 millimeter or 1/4 millimeter. Just enough that the scanner can make out a crisp margin, but not so deep that you're going to risk having the tooth fracture horizontally. In which case you'd have to extract the root. I think I'll fast forward until it's finished the prep. But we're gonna look something like that for the prep. And this is definitely a type of crown that we're gonna leave 0.5 millimeter out of occlusion.
Okay, so I have to pay attention to that. So if it doesn't have the
Normally I'll like leave it
so it looks like we're drying it off for our scan. And actually we did do some gingivectomy on the lingual there. So there's the tooth built up and prepped. So we'll get our scan with the Trios 4.
Next 30 seconds or so.
Get the bite scan. And here's the, I don't have the scan or the CAD or the milling footage, but we made the crown in-house with multi-layer zirconia. So this is the delivery appointment. We would not have temporized a case like this.
And then this one.
So we'll try it in, check the fit and the bite.
And then this one is the darker one that might be a little bit more natural to that tooth. Yeah, I think that one.
And then we'll make any adjustments that we need to.
Ties everything together. Ties the room together.
We'll polish the adjustments.
There's too many.
And then we'll be ready to deliver the tooth. We'll pumice the prep. Load it up with a resin cement. Dry it off mostly. And then seat the crown. And that's pretty much going to be that one. I'd say like a decent amount of tooth from the lingual kind of stump that is going to hopefully retain this thing for a while. Hard to say over the course of decades how it's going to do, but I think it's going to do okay for some time. Clean up the excess cement.
Right, yeah, more realistic, and then you do the rest in post.
Yeah. But my girlfriend shoots Nikon.
And that's pretty much that one. There's the final.